After more than half a year of waiting, we finally returned to Sea of Remnants for the Wanderer test. And we can't wait to show you what's new. Today, we are focusing on what stood out to us this time and the exciting direction this game is heading. And don't worry, no deep story spoilers. We want you to experience that for yourselves. First, let's talk about what's new since the last time. The puppetfolk elephant in the room is character customization. It was already pretty cool before, but now there are more options and finally a female body type. So I spent roughly 40 minutes going through all the hair and makeup options. And when we finally stepped outside, we were greeted by full English voice acting.
That's the spirit!
And that pulled us in even more. The Chinese cast had already won our hearts in the first alpha, although we didn't understand a single word they said. Now, with the English voices, there is so much personality and story moments landed way harder for us. It's basically impossible not to love RS and her chaotic persona. We found ourselves slowing down, listening to all the chatter around us, and getting drawn into conversations instead of rushing through or hitting skip. The modern gamer's routine, you know. It really makes the world feel like a living story rather than just a chain of quest hubs. Orbtopia, but also the other islands are brimming with NPCs. And you can talk to almost all of them. Some sell and buy wares, others play games with you, or are part of some puzzle. There are even ones that act as friendship and love interests, with gifting and personal quests tied to them. At this point, I have to admit that only this time did we truly understand some of the game's systems. Oopsie doopsie. The previous test was more technical, limited, and not everything was translated yet, which made things harder to grasp. This time was much clearer, even if the translations still aren't final. Also, this time around, there was way more content, so things had time to get clearer while we played. One of the things we finally figured out is that the game also has a layer of what's probably best described as a roguelite element. Now, the whole Sea of Remnants lore roughly ties into the concept that sailors lost at sea always end up washed ashore in Orbtopia, with everything gone, including their memory. So that alone already screams roguelite. When you set sail in Orbtopia, you assemble a crew of 6 from your roster of characters, including RS and yourself. It's best to diversify between the many different roles, so you are prepared for all eventualities. You can also recruit further crew members later on. Once you set sail, the voyage begins. You will find gear, level up your crew, and eventually lose it all when you sink or die. This may sound scary now, but we found that the difficulty is not too high at the beginning, so you have time to adjust and learn before it gets more intense. And there are safety nets like Jeff, who you can entrust with your loot. Back in Orbtopia, no matter what happened to you and your crew, you can just visit him and he'll hand everything over. We also got a deeper look at island exploration. These areas are now bigger, layered zones filled with mini-games, challenges and quests. All of those give XP, which matters since some progression is level-based. The maps are exciting to explore with strong level design, lots of variety in monsters and environments, and quests that feel more meaningful than your typical off-the-mill fetch quests. For example, we helped a whale that was stuck in the wall of an underwater cave by blasting the rock with dynamite. To get the dynamite, we first had to help a girl recover it from a group of outlaws. We also loved the scripted reactions from our main character. Unlike certain other games, we are not just a silent, generic traveler, protagonist. And our sidekick RS is just the best girl. We are absolutely Team RS until the end. Now, let's have a look at the multiplayer part. In this test, we're playing Sea of Remnants solo again. If you just discovered the game on Steam, you might be confused because it currently says single player only. Yup, we noticed that too. But it's likely just for the playtests, which only supports single player for now. The remnants of multiplayer are still there in the Steam tags and on SteamDB. And we found traces of social features that could appear in the final game. Please keep in mind things could still change either way. We were playing multiplayer detectives and spotted a friends list, a chat system, and mentions of other players throughout different in-game texts. There's also a squad system where currently you only see your own characters. But this could very well be a party window in the future. Even when exploring solo, you'll see little traces of other players, kind of like asynchronous multiplayer. There is a memory bottle system, similar to how it works in Where Winds Meet. Players can leave messages for others, like hints for puzzles, humble brags about gear, or just greetings. We love these systems because they give the sense of shared space without breaking immersion. Personally, we'd love to see even more multiplayer. Exploring together, shared progress, pirate guilds, sails under one flag, guild halls, or ports. Because, let's face it, this game has huge potential for multiplayer. Pretty please, Joker Studio? We're counting on you. Another big part of Sea of Remnants is combat and character builds. We actually enjoyed the turn-based combat, though we know it is not everyone's cup of tea. If that's you, there's a smart auto battle option too. But that doesn't mean you don't have to put thought into it. In Sea of Remnants, preparation is key. During each voyage, you will find different equipment from enemies and chests. And aside from weapons, every character can wear every possible gear, with only minor stat reductions on completely wrong equipment. Then, there are special rewards, often given after bosses that let you pick a new skill for your character. These skills, together with shanties, which are passive skills, determine your character's next class. Each class again has multiple traits to choose from, and there are also assist skills that trigger whenever you use them. So, do you feel lost already?
You know where we're going, right?
Yes, we do! And it's incredibly fun to change and grow your characters on the go, as every single one of these aspects can be totally game-changing, not just 3% prettier glow on your helmet. Since you can add a new class every 5 levels, and the maximum level seems to be 80, with 300 plus different characters, there is no shortage of possibilities. This also means that at the end of the day, you don't just go for the meta characters like in other games. Instead, you choose the ones you like the most and build them however you want. Now, after the mention of roguelite and losing things upon failing a voyage by dying, you might be wondering what carries over. Stuff that carries over, aside from valuables that you handed over to Jeff, are frame modifications of your characters, which is yet another upgrade system. You can upgrade your ship from stats to skills and gear. You unlock hubs, sailing routes, and shape islands by your actions. And that's permanent. Even the max level, group size, or loot rarity isn't set in stone, as there is a hamster god you can pray to that enhances those things permanently. One more thing that really impressed us is how well the game design works for different types of players. The main story introduces the world and systems, while there are plenty of optional areas you can explore or skip, which you really shouldn't. There is always something interesting to do, no matter if you're the type of player that likes little guidance or one who prefers more of it. If you log in after a long day of work, unsure what to do, the game gives you subtle pointers on what could be fun at that moment. Sea of Remnants really manages to draw you into its world really fast. One of our favorite optional activities is challenge dungeons with timed jumping puzzles. Some were really tough, but the payoff was worth it. Juicy treasure chests. Sailing and ocean exploration are another highlight. Nox picked fights with fleets guarding a treasure ship until his sails were reduced to ashes, then spotted something shiny on the horizon. The shiny turned out to be a giant, angry crab with an even bigger heap of treasure on its back. Not the crab's treasure for long anymore. Or something like that was the plan. We learned the hard way how important upgrading your ship is, or knowing which fights to pick and which not.
You always this nuts?
Interestingly, another NPC ship joined us for this fight, and with a little bit of imagination, we could already picture how cool it would be to do this kind of content with other players. Finally, let's talk about what's planned for Sea of Remnants after its release. The developers at Joker Studio actually have a really clear roadmap, and it sounds super promising. According to an interview with TechRadar, we will be getting new seasons roughly every 10 weeks, which should bring fresh content, events, and challenges. On top of that, there will be big world expansions planned about every 20 weeks, with new regions, islands, and things to explore. They are also planning a battle pass and some cosmetic-only gacha mechanics, strictly non-pay to win. Everything that changes gameplay is earned through playing, so this also applies to the characters. Since this is still an alpha test, there are naturally things we were not able to see yet. So we're super curious to see more in the future. But if this Wanderer test is any indication of where the game is headed, we are very excited to keep exploring and see this world continue to grow. Returning to Sea of Remnants this time around felt a bit like coming back home after a long voyage. Familiar, comforting, but also full of new stories waiting for us. We want to thank NetEase and Joker Studio again for the opportunity to play the Wanderer test and share our experience. We had a lot of fun and we believe in the vision they have for this game. And to all of you watching, we really hope you'll soon get a chance to set sail yourselves. We'll be out there waiting until you do. Hopefully reading your very helpful and wise messages in memory bottles. And may the hamster god guide our journey. We'll see you in Orbtopia.